Hey, tribe. Welcome to the Empowerment Bookstore podcast. In today's episode, we have a very special guest joining us, a high school friend of mine. We call her Saj. She's a multi talented individual hailing from Kent, Ohio. She is not only a poet and an author, but also a spoken word artist and ceramicist, showcasing her artistic abilities across various mediums. Her writings have revolved around profound themes such as love, spirituality, healing, self awareness. And her debut poetry album, Jonesin, A Requiem for Love, has made waves as it is among the first submissions for the newly introduced Best Spoken Word Poetry Album at the Grammy Awards. Besides Jonesin for a Requiem, Saj has authored two poetry collections entitled When the Seed Sprouts and her upcoming release, A Lotus by Any Other Name. So, without further ado, I'd love to bring on a favorite friend of mine, Saj.
Hello.
Peace, Queen. How are you today?
Doing good. How are you?
I am phenomenal. It's great to see you alive and well. Tell the
Yes,
viewers who you are, what you've been up to. It's great to have you.
absolutely. My name is Saji Samii, poet and a spoken word artist. I am all around artist, really. I'm just a creative person. I do ceramics. I do hair. So that's what I've been doing the last few years. I just closed my salon actually this summer. So done with that phase of life for now. Anyway, well, full time anyway. But yeah, poetry, writing, that's my main jam right now. So oh I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Force a habit. It's the technology era where I forget to hit the unmute button. I remember your artistry with the hair. Oh my goodness, you are phenomenal.
Thank
So
you.
tell us a little bit about how you got into just allowing yourself to create these spaces for yourself to express yourself in these ways.
Well, honestly, this is really who I've always been. Like I realized that I'm just a beautician. Like I'm here to just beautify things. So you give me some nappy hair, right? You give me a pile of mud, give me some words, and I'm gonna make it beautiful. I'm gonna make your experience beautiful. I'll make a home beautiful. I'll make you a beautiful meal. I really am a beautician. So that's where it all comes from. I was born in Woodstock, New York. That's the city where the music festival happened in 1969. Woodstock 69, yeah. So I think creativity is just literally in my blood, and I feel my best when I'm creating. So, and if I'm not creating something every day or writing something every day, I feel like, what am I doing? Like, so that's really what it is. It's just who I am. It's really my purpose to just be creative.
Ooh, I love that for you. I love that for us. The ability to be like, hey, my self expression is my expression, and watch me express myself.
Yeah.
Um, your newest book, how'd you get into that? Like, how did you manifest that and allow yourself to bring that forth?
So my newest book is called The Lotus by Any Other Name. It's right here. It's a choreo poem. So Ntozake Shange, she coined the term choreo poem. She wrote the choreo poem for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is enough. And if you're not familiar with that play, there was also a movie that Tyler Perry did, which I wouldn't recommend for your first time, for your first introduction to for colored girls, because that's not really um, that really wasn't her vision. So if you have a chance to see the play or read the book, I would highly suggest that. But this, A Lotus by Any Other Name, was highly, highly, highly influenced from that choreo poem. And I actually, it's wild because I actually started writing this the night Ntozake Shange died. And I didn't know she died until the next morning. And it was a thunderstorm that night. And I wrote the name of the book, and I wrote, it just kind of popped in my head. But I knew that the idea for this play had been brewing for a while. And I just never like sat down to write it down until that night. And I wrote a couple lines from one of the poems in there that night too. And I just kind of like went to bed, but I woke up the next morning, I saw that she had passed. I was like, whoa. I just felt like, I really felt like she gave me her stamp of approval, honestly. So I started writing. It actually took me maybe like a couple weeks later, I started really like digging into writing it. So it took me about, what year is this? 2023. It took me a good, I mean, off and on, like 4 or 5 years to really write it, just because it's about healing from just trauma, heartbreak, all these things. So it was really hard to go back to some of those places to draw inspiration to write from. But it was a very healing, cathartic
Yeah.
thing. So I'm really proud of it. This is some very vulnerable
Ooh.
poetry. And I was a little afraid, honestly, to uh, put it out, just because, um, people, assume things, but I've decided that I don't care. Someone else needed this besides me, and really that's why I got super serious with writing, because during the quarantine, I was watching The Versus with Jill Scott and Erica Badu. And Jill Scott said, if you're a writer, you have a responsibility to put your art out, because sometimes you're not writing for yourself. Sometimes you're writing for other people. Sometimes you're not writing for right now. Sometimes you're writing for 20 years in the future. So that's really what did it for me. So I'm really proud of it. It's a beautiful choreo poem. It's going to be a stage production. Um, I'm shooting for August, September. But yeah, so that's how it all came about.
Jeez, sis, I absolutely love it because we've been tapped in since high school. Like, thank God for social media. I've been able to see you flourish. I've been able to like witness life with you, like on the sidelines, and be like, yes, come on, sis, come on, sis, come on, sis. Like, I see you doing it. Um, Now mentioning that your book is coming from a vulnerable place, and I can understand being like, okay, I have what feels like a secret to me, but it's really a gift for other people. What kind of impact do you strive to make with your writing?
Um, I I really just want people to really take that journey of self-love. Like, self-love is not, it's not optional. It's literally a requirement to live a good life. And that's really what I want for that's really my goal for writing, is just to really hit people right in the heart space. To really just encourage them and inspire them to just start loving yourself right now. Like, we wasted so much time trying to like fit into other people's personalities, to like, we wasted time not loving ourselves. We wasted so much time not loving ourselves. And if I can catch somebody, um, if I can catch someone like early, and I really write for, honestly, for me, for like my teenage self, right? And I have 3 daughters too, so of course I want them to read it too, but also for all young women. I'm a little older now, but had I really understood the concept of really loving and valuing yourself, I think life would be a little different. But it's, I had to go through these experiences so I could contribute my part to the piece. So that's it. That's my goal, is to um, just invite people into like love. And it's not always like the butterflies and the love is for brave people. Love is for strong, courageous individuals, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It is easy, but this shit is hard. Okay, so yeah,
Oh,
oh
yes.
that's really my goal. So yeah.
I love it because it takes courage to be vulnerable in the strength of love, to be like, okay, these are my true indeed feelings, and you accept them in everything. Uh, so, as a mother and a mental health advocate, you've kind of touched on it, but tell us a little bit more. How has your personal journey influenced your creative process? You said that it's a little bit hard, but how did you push through? Because I know there's a lot of writers out there that have stories that are worth sharing, and they just can't get over that mental stronghold to let go and really share with us the thing that we need to hear from them.
hmm well, when I just stopped being ashamed of struggling. I stopped being ashamed of having just going through hard things. And when we go through these things, we think we're the only ones that are going through this, and we all go through these things. We all feel the same emotions, and just through different experiences. So um I just stopped being ashamed, and I said, I don't care. Like, this is a human experience, and if I am to live the full range of the human experience, I have to go through these things and learn from them. And so, really, that's how I really got through. I just saw every struggle or every obstacle as a lesson. So I said, okay, what do I need to learn from this specifically so that I can flourish? Because I'm really in the mindset of things aren't happening to you, they're happening for you. So, yeah, I don't ever want to feel like I'm a victim, because um, I've been victimized for sure, but I'm not a victim because I don't live in that space. I've learned lessons from about myself, about my own interaction, about how to interact with other people. Just I'm learning the lessons, and that's really what got me through. I didn't take a lot of the things that I went through personally, um, on a one-to-one personal basis, but also we be mad at God. Like, we be mad that we're going through these things. So I really even didn't even take it personal from God, because these are lessons that, we all need to grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And growth is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable and it hurts sometimes. Growing pains. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to learn. I wanted to be a whole human. And so that's really what got me through.
Oh, I love it. And so, we grew up same. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that I've seen people um in my personal life and just by association get stuck in their misery. I've seen people get stuck in
Mm,
20 years in the past and 50 years in the past, and I just on a constant mental loop, reliving the trauma, reliving all the things. And I said, not me. No, sir. I'm gonna live.
that part.
I'm gonna
That part.
and I'm not gonna let anyone control how I live. Like, that's wild. So yeah.
Yeah, it is very liberating. It is very freeing. Now, you and I grew up same era, so we got a lot of the same. I can tell by the way you title your things. Requiem for Love reminds me of Requiem for a Dream. Jonesin, I gotta love Jones, for your body and your skin tone. How would you say, combining spoken word and music? Um, plays an overall experience for your audience, and what role would you say that has for your creative expression?
Well, spoken word and poetry is like it's part of the musical world. People be forgetting about it, but rap literally means rhythm and poetry. So, um, yeah, poetry is very much a part of the musical world. Um, Wait, I forgot the question. You tell me the question one more time.
No worries, no worries. So what is the question was, um, what role does music play for you in your creative expression?
Oh,
And I guess you touched on it. How does combining spoken word and music enhance the experience for your audience?
um, yeah, music is a huge, 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 huge influence. It's literally everything. Music is its own language, its own frequency. Music literally touches more people than anything in this world. So, um, yeah, music is definitely heavily influenced. Like you said, like Jonesin, I got that off of, Love Jones, and then the whole soundtrack. Um, but I incorporate music just as another element. It's part of the meal for me. I mean, I do poetry without music, but I think that music, just the sound, the frequency, just draws people in. And I try to when I do my spoken word, when I record, I try to really kind of. I also write to music too, so I sometimes allow the music to influence the poetry, right? Just the not. I don't listen to like well, I listen to all music, but when I'm writing, I try to listen to instrumentals just because um, I don't want to like regurgitate the same thing from a certain song that I'm listening to. I will try to uh, kind of flip it or come from a different perspective. But I let the song and the rhythms and the just kind of influence how I say a piece or influence like the flow of the piece. But music is definitely involved in everything when it comes to poetry for me. Absolutely, 100%. So I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Now, you do a lot of different things. I like remembering that we are Renaissance women.
Yeah.
But as an artist who delves into multiple creative disciplines, what advice would you give to aspiring artists who are looking to explore different mediums and find their unique voice?
Um, I That's a great question. Um, what advice would I give? Don't listen to people who say that you have to pick one because you don't have to pick one. We are capable of multitasking many things. We do it every single day of our lives. Um, and so I've been told that numerous times that I have to pick. 'Cause I do ceramics, I do hair, I really do everything when it comes to creative art. I do beading, I do all kinds of things. But some of it I realized, right, because we're in the age of monetize everything. And so that part stressed me out because I'm like, how am I gonna juggle all these things? And so I realized I'm like, you don't have to monetize everything you do as an artist. Some things I just like to do because I enjoy doing them, and I don't necessarily have to make money off of it. So I think that would be um, my advice. Don't One, you don't have to monetize everything because everything is not for monetization. Um, Two, find the time to do it. Just make time. We have so much time. We really do. And if you make time for it, then you'll do it. But also find your purpose with the art. Like sometimes we just create just because we're creative beings, but a lot of the times, for me anyway, art creativity is closely linked to divinity for me. And so I have a line in one of my poems that said, poets are prophetic. We translate divine messages into layman terms. And that's really how it feels for me. A lot of my creativity doesn't really come from me. It's literally a divine message and I'm just writing it down. Sometimes I write pieces and I read them like, damn, I wrote that? Like what? So yeah, find your purpose with your art and do that. Like I said, I'm a beautician. So anything that I do, any art that I create, I know I'm still working within my purpose, right? I'm still beautifying things. So
Ooh.
I don't ever feel like I'm I don't ever feel like I'm a failure if this part fails, because I'm still a beautician, regardless if I'm doing hair or if I'm writing a poem, you know? So that's what did it for me. I said, okay, well, that's just what it is. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Ooh, she said it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm still beautifying things. I adore it. So, with all of that, right? You know me, I'm all into health and fitness, and the biggest thing for me is finding the balance.
Yeah.
So, with your creative mediums, how do you as a mother, a mental health advocate, a writer of multiple different things, a beater, a hairstylist, how do you find and create and maintain that balance?
I'm still learning. So that's one thing. I'm still learning how to maintain the balance. Um, but I also don't sleep a lot. I know that's not the greatest thing, but I have a lot of energy, and um, I don't need as much sleep as I think that I do. Um, but I wouldn't recommend that. Don't do that. But finding the balance, I'm still finding the balance. I just try to really just find time to do the things that I do. Now, sometimes I will um, not, so I'll write every day. I'm not writing a full poem every day, but I'm writing lines. I'm writing, just thoughts. I'm journaling. So that helps, because when I do have time to sit down and really like write, I go back through my notes, and I pull a line, and I'm like, okay, this is the poem, and it's been brewing in my head for for days. But yeah, balance. I'm honestly, I'm still learning. I'm still learning, and yeah, I don't know how I create the balance. I really am. I really just try to keep my mind balanced. I think that's the most important part for me. Even if the day is like chaotic, I'm still very balanced and peaceful on the inside. So that helps me. Honestly, I meditate every day. I put my feet in the grass, and usually I'm writing when the girls are asleep, or when they're just um, done interacting with me. Um, but yeah, when they're asleep is when I get my most creative times. So I don't know if that's
Ooh.
good good balance, but that's the time that I have, because when you have kids, you got to talk to them. They need attention, every single one of them.
They need you to pay attention to them.
Like,
Toni Morrison is my favorite author, and I watched her piece on Netflix, and that's the same thing she said. Now hers is early, early in the morning. That's when she writes.
well, same, me too. I write when the girls are asleep at night. I literally, this is terrible, but I really only sleep like maybe 4 hours. And I know that's not great. And I would love to sleep for like 8 hours a day, but I can't. I can't. I have too many things that I want to do. And I'm going out on empty. So I got to get all this done. And I'm not rushing my process, but I just know that I have other things to do. And so I'm like, all right, this is done. What's next? So
Hmm.
yeah, I love Tony.
Yeah, I love it. And you said Tony's my favorite. Tony is my favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the big thing. As we wrap up, what are some future projects, endeavors, what you working on? Is there anything you'd like to share with the listeners? Upcoming events, release dates? What can we look forward to?
Well, I have so many things that are upcoming. Well, like I said, my latest poetry book, A Lotus by Any Other Name, is going to be a production. So I will be announcing some auditioning and casting information at the end of this month. So that's upcoming. I also have a poetry show. So if anyone is in Houston, um, yeah, hit me up. I have a poetry show coming up on May 28th. Um, and what else am I working on? A lot of pottery things coming this summer. So I'm merging my my mediums together. So when I do pottery, it influences my poetry. When I do poetry, it influences my pottery. So I am merging those two, and yeah, the summer is gonna be good for that. Um, but I mean that's all I'm really focused on right now. I do have a couple of hair shows. Although I'm done with clients full time, I still like to create hair pieces. So I have a couple hair shows coming up in August. Um, but yeah, that's about it for now. That's it. You can check my link and or my Instagram. I post a lot of upcoming events and poetry shows and stuff on my Instagram. Saji Samii. Um, but yeah, that's all I got for now.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for being on the show. I can't wait to have you. We've got, as you see in the top right hand corner, mainly be left hand corner, depending on where you're looking, our show, Fit to Heal. You've talked a lot about healing from trauma and how you use writing and your poetry as a creative expression. We'll have to have you back. I'm going to go ahead and send you backstage. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my God, it was so phenomenal to have a good childhood friend on here. And again, we still out here growing and doing things. Stay tuned in the Empowerment Bookstore. We'll have yet another phenomenal artist out here making moves and trying to empower you to live your life and be your best self. I can't wait to remember to move your feet. And